The final verdict on a key Polkadot ETF is just around the corner, and for every single DOT holder, this could change everything. You probably know that the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, has been delaying its decision on Grayscale's attempt to convert its Polkadot Trust into a spot ETF. They've pushed the deadline back a few times, but now, a final decision is expected around November 8, 2025, and the stakes could not be higher. Many top analysts believe there's a strong chance of approval. But what does that actually mean for the price of Polkadot in the short term and for its future with big money investors? In this video, we're breaking down the two most likely scenarios, approval or rejection. We'll explore what the smart money might be doing, the key price levels every trader needs to watch, and what you should be prepared for as this huge moment gets closer. This isn't just another news update. This could be a major shift for one of crypto's most important projects. So let's get right into it. What exactly is a Polkadot ETF and why is it such a big deal? An exchange-traded fund, or ETF, is basically a basket of assets you can buy and sell on regular stock exchanges, just like a share of Apple or Tesla. For crypto, a spot ETF holds the actual digital asset, in this case, Polkadot's DOT token. This is the holy grail for getting big institutions on board. It means massive pension funds, hedge funds, and everyday investors can get exposure to Polkadot without the headache of setting up crypto wallets or using unregulated exchanges. We've already seen how explosive this can be. The approval of Bitcoin ETFs opened the floodgates to billions of dollars in institutional cash, helping send its price to new highs. Now, Polkadot is one of many altcoins in line, with major players like Grayscale pushing to convert their existing trust. At the same time, other firms like 21 Shares are also filing for their own crypto products, signaling a massive institutional push into the wider market. But as we've seen time and time again, the SEC is playing it safe. They've delayed the decision on the Grayscale Polkadot ETF multiple times this year, pushing the deadline to a final verdict expected by November 8th. This isn't unique to Polkadot. The SEC has a growing backlog of crypto ETF applications under review. Each delay has caused short-term dips for DOT as some traders get impatient. However, these delays aren't necessarily a bad sign. Instead, the SEC is taking its time to review the market structure and investor protections for these altcoin products. It's frustrating for sure, but it's also a sign that regulators are taking these assets seriously, which is a good thing for long-term legitimacy. Now, let's talk about the big question. Will it be approved? Despite the delays, the mood among top market analysts is very positive. Bloomberg analysts have put the odds of approval for many altcoin spot ETFs in 2025 at 90% or higher, and Polkadot is on that list. There are a few key reasons for this optimism. First, the SEC is actively talking with the issuers. They're in a dialogue, asking questions and requesting more info. This level of engagement is seen as a very positive sign. It suggests they're working toward an approval framework rather than an outright rejection. The process feels a lot like what we saw with the Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs, where a series of delays was eventually followed by a green light. Second, the operational groundwork is being laid. For example, a 21 Shares Polkadot ETF, which would trade under the ticker T-DOT, was recently added to the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation's DTCC website. The DTCC is the financial plumbing of the US stock market. Now, a DTCC listing doesn't guarantee approval, but it is a critical procedural step that shows a product is getting ready for a potential launch. These proposed ETFs are also set to use reliable valuation standards and secure custody solutions from players like Coinbase, which addresses two major past concerns from the SEC: price manipulation and safe storage. Third, institutional demand seems to be there. While specific figures can be hard to pin down, on-chain data has shown periods of significant accumulation by large whale accounts. This kind of disciplined buying is often a classic sign of institutional interest. These big players may not be waiting for the ETF to go live. They could be positioning themselves before the floodgates open. This type of accumulation suggests that the smart money is betting on an approval. So if we assume approval is likely, what does this mean for short-term traders? In one word, volatility. The time leading up to the November decision will be full of speculation, and the announcement itself will almost certainly trigger a huge price move. Let's look at the charts. Polkadot has been forming several bullish technical patterns. If the ETF is approved, some analysts are watching the $7.50 level as the first major resistance. A clean break above that could quickly send DOT toward a target of $14, with some even more bullish long-term targets going as high as $50 if the launch is a major success. A rally of that size might sound crazy, but we've seen these kinds of explosive moves before when a major asset gets the institutional stamp of approval. However, traders need to be ready for both scenarios. An unexpected rejection would likely cause a sharp dip. Key support levels to watch are in the $3.50 to $3.60 range, which has historically been a strong buying zone. In fact, the SEC's previous delays have created exactly these kinds of dips, which were often followed by accumulation from long-term investors. For a smart trader, a dip caused by regulatory news could be a prime buying opportunity. The key is to watch the volume and on-chain data, which can show whether smart money is buying the dip or starting to panic. If you're getting value from this deep dive and want to stay ahead of major market-moving events like this, do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button. We're breaking down the most important news in crypto every single week, giving you the analysis you need to navigate this market. And don't forget to ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next update. Now, let's zoom out and talk about the long-term picture for investors. An ETF approval isn't just a short-term pump. It's a fundamental game changer that validates Polkadot as a legitimate institutional-grade asset. This is about unlocking a wave of capital that has been sitting on the sidelines, potentially worth billions of dollars. This capital would be flowing into one of the most technologically robust ecosystems in crypto. While the market has been distracted by price charts, Polkadot has been building. The Polkadot 2.0 upgrade, with components like elastic scaling, is set to dramatically increase the network's performance and efficiency. These upgrades are part of the larger JAM protocol vision, which aims to massively boost scalability and flexibility for developers. Furthermore, Polkadot is making it easier for developers to build on its network. While the main Polkadot chain isn't directly EVM compatible, the ecosystem thrives on its parachains, specialized blockchains that connect to Polkadot. Parachains like Moonbeam offer full EVM compatibility, allowing Ethereum developers to deploy their existing Solidity smart contracts directly into the Polkadot ecosystem. This removes a huge barrier and positions Polkadot to capture more of the Web3 developer market. And perhaps most importantly, the ecosystem is professionalizing. There are now strategic initiatives with institution-focused firms like Zodia Custody, which is backed by major banks. These partnerships are designed to provide the bank-grade security and regulated custody services that large-scale capital allocators demand, especially for services like staking. This is how you build an ecosystem for the long haul. So as the final decision on the Polkadot ETF approaches, we're at a major crossroads. For short-term traders, the event promises serious volatility, with clear technical levels to watch for either a breakout or a dip buying opportunity. For long-term investors, the approval of a spot ETF represents far more than a price catalyst. It's the institutional seal of approval for a network with powerful fundamentals and a clear vision for the future. The combination of potential regulatory clarity from an ETF, massive tech upgrades with Polkadot 2.0, and the professionalization of the ecosystem is creating a powerful narrative. This decision could very well be the event that helps transform Polkadot from a promising technology into a core holding in institutional portfolios worldwide. But now I want to turn it over to you. What is your price target for Polkadot if the ETF is approved by November? And which altcoin do you think will be the next to get an ETF? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below.